around. I suppose in some senses it's the episode everyone's been waiting for. I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is Chainlink Technical Analysis, and of course we are in all-time highs. Just floating around like the birds in the skies. What's going on? And let's take a look at how the prices have been shaping up versus, comparison to the things that we've been talking about recently with regards to these targets. Now, of course, the big one, the big daddy, comes in there at 0.000071548. What we're going to call that, 71,548 satoshis. That's where the 1618 is, should we actually want to go all the way up towards that. We have other targets in between. There are other Fibonacci retracements. We put those two on there for folk to look at in yesterday's episode, but we can look at all these different extensions if you really wanted to. I don't particularly really want to, just want to say that there are other areas. If you want to go and add that to your own charts and try and do that sort of analysis yourself, you're more than welcome to. But what do we have there as well? Remember, of course, people have been asking lots of questions about this. I said I'd give more sorts of details. I don't think I mentioned this necessarily too much in yesterday's episode. If we call this an ascending triangle, here's just a reminder for people. Bulkowski, not head and shoulder this time though. I used that in one of the episodes today so far. Bulkowski, what am I looking for here? Oh, ascending triangle. I didn't spell that right, but Google fixes me up. Thepatternsight.com. And ascending triangles, percentage meeting price target for up down breakout 70 to 44%. So if we had an up breakout, we could look at 70% of that measuring stick. So what you do is you times the measure it, you times it by the distance. What is this? We could do it with numbers, see if we can figure out what 70% of 29,000 up to 53,000. So 24,000, 70%, 24,000, what's that going to be, about 16,000 or so? I mean, anyway, you could do that, or you could just kind of make a rough guess. Whoa, what's 70% of this look like? So we have come up quite high to where this was. We've had mostly, the guts of the measured move off the back of this ascending triangle. Really now, that would have been, and that's maybe what I should have spoken about and said to people in terms of the move here, the sort of the top end of this. That's really where you could have been looking to. I suppose I probably would have done. I mean, I can't remember right now, but I'm assuming that I would have done at certain points along the way numerous times. I mean, how big does this measuring stick look like? Yeah, it's the same one. So yeah, I mean, I would have obviously spoken about this in the past. So yeah, so that's really what's happened then. And where can we look to in terms of the lower down support areas and whatnot? Well, we'd love to see the prices staying above 56,000 in general, of course. Now that obviously would be a shocking drop off in terms of percent. Just a quick shout to people, that'd be a 20% drop off. But overall, that's what I kind of mean. Overall, is that I'd be fairly happy overall if we were to stay above this area in general, and if this traded towards, had a downward trend on it for a wee while, then that would be overall still happy enough in terms of the sort of the bullish case scenario for it. Other ways that we can look at this to make things a little bit easier on ourselves. What was all that? Can I just get rid of that instead now? Don't need that on there. Excuse me. Going up towards the weekly time frame, getting rid of all of the drawings on here and just kind of bringing the charts in to be visible, and then looking towards whether or not we've got divergence and whatnot on the go. Well, compared to the previous high here, we've thrown off the shackles of the divergence that we had previously compared to these two highs. Is this higher? Or was that an equal high? I think it was an equal high. So you had that sort of class B style. So we've not got divergence on the go. That's good in terms of the weekly trend. If we just kind of shrink that down a bit, make this visible, and then look at the pattern overall in here overall, and then have a broader view of the price action. So you can imagine, if you wanted to, just off camera, there was loads of price action in the past, and what we're doing is we're not looking towards the previous support levels and whatnot to make any assessment here. Instead, what we want to do perhaps is just look at the shape of this overall, and I think that you can probably already see what I'm going to be getting at. I mean, especially if you were to take, I think in the long and distance past, maybe on the channel at some point, I had this drawn all the way down here just for the crack. If you were to take that there, and I'm going to now just remove this line from there and instead to bring it over to here, so that we can just kind of re-establish a different sort of view on the charts. And you can see here that there's this channel type effect on the charts. So if I just chuck everything out now instead, so I just chuck it all away, so bye drawings, they've served us well, and stick on a parallel channel using the old parallel channel tool. going up the way here and just bringing it down like that. Then in general, you can see that there's another sort of way of looking at the price action for the overall grand schemeo of thingsios. So if we just drag this up a bit, there's various different ways that you could have this on. Of course, there are. I mean, we could have it going on with the wicks. If I just draw on, yeah, whatever. We're going to keep it the way we initially drew it on, though, just because I think that's just a nice enough looking thing for now to be working with. And you can see, so we came into the top end of this channel. Now, where does the median line of the channel come in at? Well, that's in and around about that 56,000 area that we spoke about before. Depending on the sort of your timings doing this thing, looking down the way, you know, 60,000, all sorts of stuff like that, you could be looking at that. Of course, in terms of like maintaining the structure here, bearing in mind, remember, this is the weekly time frame. There's plenty of time for all this sort of jazz to happen. 50,000 in general would of course be above our sort of previous highs and just still fit inside the range of this channel. Okay, so there are some more informations for you. Now, what we do in the channel, reminder to everybody, is we put out FOMO free, greed free, integratable technical analysis that doesn't stand on your toes and doesn't have an overall bias on there, like saying this is where the prices are going. And I don't feed people fish fingers. Instead, I teach them to fish, or whatever the Oxfam phrase was. Learn a man to fish, teach a day for a family, feed a family for a teach, and that's what we do on the channel. So there we go. There's all of that. I think that's really quite helpful for people looking forward. And by all means, do the same sort of thing here on the dollar prices. But if we, now as we look towards them, I think there's a couple of things that immediately jump out at us. And this is still the weekly time frame. And what do we have here? Well, we have the chat that we've had for quite a while on here, months, about how there's this sort of upward side channel. You know, we've been talking about this for months, and while we can see that we just sort of taken the same sort of philosophy and used it on the Bitcoin one, you of course should be welcome to have done that yourself at any time. Remember, you're your own boss when it comes to trading. We couldn't realistically fit this price action here over the last number of weeks into a channel, you know, including this high over here of just like, you know, to adjust this like we did on the Bitcoin charts. Couldn't realistically do that. Instead, you can see that there's this massive period of sideways overall, you know, in terms of if you include this wick, if you ignore the wick, then of course overall there's this massive period of trending towards the top side. And let's take a look and see if we've got, oh my god, if we've got divergences coming up here. We obviously spoke about this in some detail in the past couple of days here, yesterday probably. You know, I'm really bad at remembering what I spoke about one episode to the next, which is why every single one of them I have to kind of work from scratch on every single one. Yeah, so looking here, we've got this highs up here, higher than all of the previous ones. We're not bearishly divergent. What about the stochastics here? Well, it's not finished being set in yet. You know, it could go either way at the minute, of course, as well. It's premature to say that about the RSI as well, just a reminder to folk. And, you know, it's coming in for the potential of bearish divergence on the DMI there. We are above the 20 level. There is a strength, an element, a degree of the strength of trend towards the upside for sure there is. What can we look at here in terms of the shapes of this, though, and what we were looking at before? You know, could you be really sort of, could you, could I? Do I want all of this on the charts? I'm tempted to just chuck it away. Can I just use this one instead? Is it cleaner? Yeah, it's cleaner over here. Just the right. We're up above $6 at the minute, $6.10, and that's very good. Let's do a couple of things. Let's do that channel that I was going to do a second ago. Let's do that again here, coming from over here and going up this way and see how it looks. Overall, not so great. It was better on the other one for sure in terms of fitting this thing in. So that's kind of something to look to. Sorry for losing my track a little bit here. I'm going to just wrap this episode up in a minute if I don't sort of find my mojo again, because there's no point in boring people. If you were to want to stick this into some sort of thing like this, then this is what you'd have to be looking at overall as well. So to make the same sort of assertion off the back of that, you'll be looking down to $5.60. Okay, that's not the greatest thing in the world to be looking at overall. We can also do the speculative Fibonacci chart we've had numerous times, taken from our previous swing low, going up to the highs and saying where would the 236 be coming in at to provide more confluence, and that again is in and around the median line of that parallel channel. So that gives you a bit of something to be working on. Doesn't matter which particular low you want to take this from, just go from the all-time lows, I suppose, if you like, on this particular chart up to the highs. And again, you know, it's coming in around about this area. Should you see the prices slope towards the downside over the next wee while. Of course, everybody wants to know what the top side targets would be moving on beyond this area, and we've spoken about these numerous times in the past. Numerous times I've looked up and said, we've got a couple of 618 Fibonacci's up here at the $7.17 dollars area, and there's other ones that you can look to. For instance, as we spoke about in other episodes, the 414, the 1414 comes in here at the where the price actions actually come up as high as, so there would be your confluence there if you're looking for that. And yeah, well, we don't need to stick any more of them on just now for the chat. I think we've covered quite a bit here in terms of, like I kind of promised in yesterday's episode that we would look at things a bit more detail in terms of like how to do this price discovery thing. So I think I've done that there. I've helped again. Hopefully you've got some value to take away from this episode, and you can run with it now and become your self-reliant, self-independent trader that you always wanted to be. When I say independent trader, by the way, I can't help but think of Trotter's independent traders, tits from Only Fools and Horses. If you're a UK person and you know what I'm talking about, if you're in America and you know what that reference is, Only Fools and Horses, then good stuff. Okay, great. Thanks so much. If you want to really help out the channel and you've watched far through to here and you've not hit that subscribe button yet, then be a part of the final 36 people who push the channel up to 1,000 subscribers. That would be a total hero move on your part. So thanks so much for tuning in today. Really appreciate it. I hope you've got some value to take away from the episode. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Rocky Outcrop here, youtube.com/RockyOutcrop. Share it with your friends. Thanks so much. See you next time.